Hello, hello, my friends. Welcome. I'm Rachel Archelaus, founder of the Intuitive Art Academy, representing today. And we have your business BFF, Carrie Roldan. And this is our live stream. And today we're going to talk about something everyone can relate to, which is I have this amazing email from a viewer from our live stream last week. And the basics of it are, and I'll read parts of it, but when it's easy to manifest some things, but not everything, namely money. So we're going to get into this juicy topic today. I hope you brought your intuitive art supplies if you have done our method before, because this is the perfect opportunity to get your own personalized path around this issue. Okay, so we're going to talk about why money is often blocked, how to know if you're resisting money, how to know if you actually embody worthiness or you just think you're being worthy, right? All the science and tricks and tips for that, but also I'll be giving you intuitive art prompts throughout today so that you can get your own clarity from your higher self, who is constantly trying to give you clarity anyway. So today's going to be really fun and hopefully very breakthrough-ish, enlightening for you. I'm hoping to get some clarity too, right? We all have things that we're working on. So yeah. Hey, Carrie.
Yeah, hey, I like breakthrough-ish. Let's have some breakthroughs. I do feel like those are coming for me kind of fast and furious these days. And I'm grateful for these conversations and being in this world and how quickly I'm moving through whatever I'm moving through, right? Like I'm in such appreciation of that. And yeah, I mean, today couldn't be more perfect for us to have this conversation. I don't think you did you read the whole thing?
Not yet.
Yeah, so like I don't want to spill the beans. So I'll let you go ahead and read it. But yeah, perfect timing for me, for you, and probably everyone watching for us to have this conversation and welcome Rachel's glasses.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So the good news is, like Carrie's saying, this second half of this year specifically is the ease part of going forward. Today's a full moon in Pisces, and even though I'm really not an astrologer and I couldn't really tell you what that means, I know it means that there's cycles happening, there's movement happening, there's openings and opportunities happening, and it's happening because we've asked for it, because we're allowing it as the creators on this planet and in the entire universe. So if you have been struggling with something for a long time, or there's a nut you've never been able to crack, pay attention today and to how you're feeling and to what resonates with you specifically, because we don't need to have these ongoing issues anymore. You might already find that a lot of what you were struggling with this year is already gone. You didn't even have to address it head on. We don't have to address things head on usually. But I do understand that if so why would some things disappear? Why would some problems disappear and not others? The only reason to have a persistent problem is if you're persistently focusing on the problem.
Yes.
That's it. Otherwise, you'll transcend it just like you raise your vibration consistently over time. And, older things that used to bother you, you haven't even thought about them in years, right? But if you're persistently focusing on a problem or something that's lacking, it will persistently be a problem. And that, money, we use money every day. We earn it, we spend it, we promise it to other people in the future, right? We invest it, it goes up and down. So we're always looking at money, usually.
Or we're avoiding it.
Mm-hmm.
We're just looking at it but not looking at it, right? It's like we don't want to look at it because whatever feeling we're having about it. And so when, at least my experience of avoiding money, when I'm avoiding money, it's not like I'm not focusing on it. I'm just
Exactly.
distracting myself from it. Like the focus is always there.
Yeah, and that's the point, right? It's
Yes.
whether you're looking at it, the pile of it, or avoiding the pile of it actively, it's still an active part of your vibration.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Uh,
oh, go ahead.
oh, I was just going to say, are you going to read exact words, or have you given enough of what our viewer wrote in?
I think I'll read some words. It's
Okay.
very long, and they were like, "This is really long. You don't have to read the whole thing," when they sent it to me. So I appreciate that. But basically, I might read parts of it, but I don't want to stop. I didn't highlight anything ahead of time. Silly me. But basically, this person did spend a lot of time doing only what they love in their earlier years. Like they had freedom, they did their art stuff, they felt really fulfilled, but the money wasn't there. The money didn't come. And now later on in life, they're making a really good living doing something that's adjacent to what they love, but not quite there. And they're not having a very good time, but they're making the money finally. And they're like, basically, I feel really worthy. So what's up with that? Right. Let's see. Is there anything? Okay. So their question: what is the disconnect when a situation like this is going on? I feel worthy of receiving and I know that it's possible, but it's not happening in my reality. Even now, as I do work I don't like, I glue that work together with as many moments of enjoyment, fun, appreciation, allowing, and just being as possible. What's the missing piece? Right? So they're aware of all this stuff. They're actively doing their best to be happy, but nonetheless, the money is tied to something they don't enjoy.
I mean, good stuff, right?
Yeah.
And good for them. Like whoever you are, good for you. Like you are doing the work. You're not sitting in a place of like, well, I sat on my couch and believed in it and nothing happened. And so now I believe that the law of attraction doesn't work, right? Which a lot of people are in that place. So I think I just want to start with like total affirmation. Like you're in it, you get it, you're doing it. And like before we say anything else, I want to say, I feel certainty that you are this close. Like I feel speaking as well, I guess I should say this first. The work is never really done, right? There's always more. There's always more that we could get better and better and better at. And it sounds like you are so knowing very little. What I will say is it sounds like there was a belief that I could do what I love and not get paid, right? And that's how I want to be. And then at some point I had to grow up and get serious and get a job and make money. So there's this idea that like you can't just do only what you love, right? But you can get pretty close. You can create a pretty good life doing almost that, doing something that resembles that, but that actually pays, right? So I'm guessing there's a belief of that whatever you were doing early in your career, there was no real money in that. And I'm saying that because I'm someone who did that. Like, and so I might just be projecting all of this onto you. But like I like what I really wanted to do, I was like, no one ever makes more than like $5,000 a year doing it. So okay, I'll find something that I can take the essence of that, but also make a lot of money. And I feel like that's where you are now. And so you have settled, but settled for pretty good, right? And even in your settling, you're like, okay, how do I make this? Where do I find my moments of joy? So I guess I just really want to high five you, high five, on how far you've gotten thus far. And it seems like, and worthiness, we'll all go there in a sec, but there's what you know and there's what you know, right? And I feel like like you're getting it, but there's a little bit more. If you're not watching this, you're just listening to this, you have no idea what I'm saying. But there's a little more knowing, integrating, embodying that can be done with worthiness. But you're close, man. You're so close. I think someone actually probably needs to tell you, or you can really let it land yourself. And I'll tell you my story of this morning in just a sec. That is, yeah, you actually can have it. You can have it. You can have the life that you really, really want and include the money. And you don't have to see the how, right? You've created the life you've got right now, the circumstances, the job you have right now, because your mind did its very best to give you what you thought you could have, right? The best of both worlds. So, so a little bit of embodiment work to be done, but I think you're pretty darn close. How are you feeling about this, Rachel?
Yeah, I'm really glad you started with that because I do have a tendency when people ask me for help to be like, all right, let's get into the solution. You know what I mean? So I'm really glad you took us into the appreciation of where this person is first because I completely agree. And I do want to add that while they are doing this high paying job right now, it's writing, right? They're a ghostwriter. I think I can say that. I did ask for permission to use their email. They've also been writing for their own enjoyment on the side and wanting those projects to take off as well, and they haven't. So, right, you're pointing out that there's possibly an expectation that the things I do for enjoyment don't make money, and the things I do for work that I don't enjoy make money. So, we're going to go down that road first, I think, because really, the biggest obstacle I see to people allowing in money from places that aren't like tied to what they're doing for work, or just even like from things that they're doing for fun or they want to be their work, is the expectation that it can provide, right? From the time we're born into this world where people say you have to work hard. You know, money doesn't grow on trees. It's not easy to make money, starving artists, blah, 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 right? And even shaming the idea of having some careers as though you're a lower class if you do artistic things, right? Um, I never really felt that way until high school when I went over to a friend's house and their parents were talking to me. And then I was friends with this boy who was really, really, really smart. But he had a sister who was also really smart, but she did art stuff. She was a dancer and a singer and an actor. And so they're like, oh, you're artistic, like blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, I didn't know you had to be one or the other. I've always been smart and artistic, but these little things, they have a way of burrowing into our brains and they alter our expectations. So for everybody here, if you've ever had this happen where you can only find that money comes to you through this channel of hard work or working for someone else or doing something you don't want to do, what's your expectation? When you think about your hobby, when you think about where you want your money to come from, does it feel easy? Does your brain go there automatically? Do you ever have a spontaneous thought of, oh, when is that unexpected check coming? Or when am I going to make my first $1,000 on my quilting stuff? Like, does that factor in, or is it a blank? When you think about your hobby or how you want to make money, whether that's from the lottery or getting an inheritance or doing a hobby or a side hustle or something, is the money tied to that in a positive way? Is that part of the thought process for you? Is it part of the equation of the daydream of the thinking? Because your stream of thoughts is going to tell you where your expectation is. Does that make sense? Does that land?
No. Well, yes and no, but here's my no on this. So I'm going to put myself in that person's shoes and I'm going to think about expectation versus vibration. And the reason I'm saying this is because in Rachel speak, they're the same thing, right? Is that right, Rachel? Okay. In Rachel speak, they're the same thing. But in my experience, I will say, and I think that is the difference between the knowing in the head and the knowing in the heart, right? I will say, no, I do have an expectation of winning the lottery. And yet I look around and I every time I buy a ticket, I don't win. Right. So therefore I must have an expectation of not winning the lottery. And that is, so I think that is the sticking point. Go
So
ahead.
yeah, so let's go deeper than that. It's deeper than that. It's when you're driving around in your car and you think to yourself, oh, hey, I would love some new skis. Are you like, great, that lottery wins there. I'm going to go get the new skis. Like, is it automatic? So expectation informs how you make decisions, right? And so are you making decisions with ease and comfort based on knowing like, yeah, my screenplay is going to sell and so I'm going to go and do this? Or so your head of what you think is often very different from the actual reality of your inner thought stream. Does that make sense?
Yes. So I love what you said about expectation informs decisions, because that can really put it in perspective. If you ever hear yourself saying things like, let's use this example of this person's creative pursuits. I submitted this thing. I submitted my thing for a book proposal or whatever it is. I don't want to get my hopes up, but right, like having that, like I don't want to. Right, when you're in that place or in a place of afraid to dare to believe, right? You know it's possible, but there's like afraid to start making plans, start spending the money that's going to come from your book, right? If you're sort of waiting until, um, like, oh, okay, I submitted this book proposal, and if it comes through, then I can. Um, then the expectation is that it's not going to come through. That it might, that it's in the realm of possibility. It's entirely possible, but I'm not going to count on it. And I think what you're saying is if you're really counting on it, if you're really expecting it, you can count on it. And is that accurate? Are you're making
Yeah.
decisions based on
And
it?
I'm not advising that you go out and spend money that you don't have yet, but it's the feeling of being able to. So, for example, when I was first starting my business and I lived back in Connecticut and I didn't have any way to expect what was going to happen, right? I'd never, ever had an online business before. I always had this thought in the back of my head. No, first of all, I was excited. I wanted it to work. I was investing in myself. I was learning, right? I was proactively doing all the things that you do when you start a business. But in the back of my head, I always had, well, I can always sell my car if I need to, right? I had an asset. I could always sell my car. Now, I lived in Connecticut. I really couldn't sell my car and live a normal life. I lived on a dirt road in the middle of nowhere. So it was not a practical thing, but that was like a backup plan that I kept going to. And for as long as that was active, I wasn't going to see a lot of money. So I had been making money, about $500 a month for years, being a local psychic. And then I started on this online journey and I sort of did a few things. Like I invested in a program that I didn't really like the teacher of and everything. But I didn't make any money then for about 6 months. And so the thoughts that I was thinking, it was like I took the chance that I wanted to take. I did the things I wanted to do. I was moving in the right direction, but my doubt had a really big part of what showed up for me, right? And so I didn't luckily end up having to sell my car, but I had to do a lot of meditating and a lot of calibrating. So we're not taught how to expect money to come from comfort and ease and fun, right? We have to teach ourselves how to do that. We have to calibrate to allowing that, because our brains think that's completely unsafe, right? So if you leave it up to your lower mind of all the things you've absorbed over your life, there's no security in that, right? Just inherently. And so we have to train ourselves to be comfortable with that and to be allowing and in alignment with the higher self of us, which money is no big deal. We don't, money's like, it doesn't matter to our higher self where our money comes from, right? It's trying to deliver us money every day, all day, for absolutely doing nothing except existing, right? So we need to become comfortable with the idea of that. We need to be relaxed in that. We need to feel like that is the next logical step. We need to feel worthy of that. And so it's on us to do all of that work. We have to prepare ourselves, our nervous system, our mind, all the parts of us that are here in physical reality. We need to prepare ourselves to be able to be okay with that and to allow it. That's where the work is.
It's reminding me of some work that I spoke with our friend Cynthia Carrere years ago. And I don't think this was just her notion, but she was the one I was speaking with it at the time about money set points, right? And I'm thinking about it's an easy concept for all of us to get to. So just this idea that like some people, the story of their life is a day late and a dollar short. Some people, the story of their life is, everything always works out in the end. Some people, the story of their life is never quite enough. Some people, money story of their life. Some people, it's, well, they're always manages to be just enough, right? Barely enough, just barely enough, right? But the interesting thing about that is we don't really recognize until we look at our life that those are our expectations, right? That those were imprinted on us, whether we saw it like that, hey, money is hard work is one story, but the other story is around how much we'll actually allow in. Like you said, we aren't taught to have money come from comfort, ease, and fun. And I thought, unless we are, even this, you're the child of a Kardashian, or you grow up in that space where actually money does come from that, where there's an unlimited supply. You grow up, your great grandfather was a railroad tycoon, and you like
And that's true for some people, but then there's often the money doesn't come without a price. And what are the expectations my family has? And everyone hates me because I have money. So yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's an interesting conversation to have around expectation. Like, it's not enough to be like, I expect the best, right? It's recognizing like, I've got some expectations in here that I may not even be aware of. And, or like you said, they are informing my decisions, right? More than I even recognize that I'm recognizing this. You told me this would happen before the call. Rachel told me before the call. She's like, Carrie, you're gonna like this is gonna hit you. But like I am recognizing in myself, oh yes, even though I live in this world and I have lots and lots of evidence of when I relax, when I trust, like money comes from really amazing places. And my decisions are often informed by a little bit of scarcity or a little bit of being practical or all of that stuff. So not saying you have to be impractical, but like I'm recognizing what is informing my decision is maybe some scarcity and some fear, masked as responsibility or being good with money.
I mean, what taught me a lot about expectation is comparing to people's entrepreneurial journeys, right? I work with a lot of solopreneurs. I have a very small, like part-time team, so I'm probably technically a solopreneur. And we have what a lot of people would call lifestyle businesses, right? We have money to live on, to do what we want with, hopefully to retire with. And that's great. But then if you look at someone who starts a business to become a big business, they have a very different journey and a very different path. And I think a lot of people start out in business thinking they're going to get the big business without going there on purpose, without the expectation of my business is going to be gigantic. And so now here are the things that I do. And those steps can be just as inspired as the lifestyle entrepreneur, but it's your expectation, it's your intention that really makes the difference there and hooks you up with the path of allowing the path of least resistance to that.
Yes, I see that so clearly. I feel that. So you just, right, when it's starting with the end in mind, not starting with the hope of what might be, if that, right? Like recognizing like, okay, I'm planning a party for 100 people, as opposed to like, I'm planning a party and I'll get 3 tables and then I hope more people come. I'll invite 100 people, but I'll just like, you know what I mean? Like there's, but probably like only 6 people will actually come. So I'll get enough for 10 people and like, and yeah, I'm feeling that. That's landing for me. I don't know how it's landing for you guys watching, but it's really landing for me. So thank you.
Yeah. So just like we want physical money, or at least money in our bank account, right? In our physical world that we can spend. And so this idea of worthiness or expectations, right, being different from what we think about to what we actually feel in our bodies. There's a jump there, right? So we are multidimensional beings, like everything in our physical reality starts at the energetic level. And if we think we are worthy, that's great. And if we think we're inherently wealthy, that's great. But it needs to come down. It needs to settle in and ground into your physical body. So that will change your actual expectation, right? And your vibration. So just feel into that right now. Like, what does my body expect? Is my body in fear? Is my body in lack? Is my body in stress? Or is my body open, expecting, loving, appreciating? Right? That'll tell you a lot more than what you think you feel. What do you actually feel? And you can have different vibrations for different subjects. So even if you are, so in the case of our emailer, they had a lot of things going right? They were doing what they love. They were knitting, they were creating, they were writing, they were having a good time, they had freedom. And so their vibration was in a really good place. But they had also, which I didn't read, gone to law school and had a lot of student loans and then worked really hard to pay off those loans. And then got into, you know what, I just really want to have a good time. I want to be free. And so they more than likely still had maybe a little bit of resentment of the hard work or of the student loans or whatever you picked up there, right? That's really normal. It's really normal to have that. And so when you feel into your body, everybody, how does my body respond to the idea of more money? Does it get tight? Does it get open? Does it get excited? How does my body feel about money in general? Is that a little bit better? Is that a little more open? So use your body as your feedback mechanism for where your vibration is on a specific topic. You can also do an intuitive art reading about what is my relationship with money? What is my relationship with money? Or what are my expectations around money? Those are really good drawings to help you see where you are right now in terms of your vibration.
So that thing about law school was enlightening about our mystery emailer, because that goes back to the circumstance, the situation that you had as a young person, where they're like, oh, you can either be a lawyer and be wealthy or an artist and be poor, right? It's like, oh, this person went to law school, invested a lot of money in the idea that they are going to be a lawyer, which, unless, I don't know where you grew up, but probably you grew up with the expectation of become a lawyer, make a lot of money, or do what makes you happy and don't make a lot of money. So I just want to say you've done an amazing job at like bridging the gap. And you can keep bridging. Like you can, so if no one's told you, you can make a lot of money. You can make lawyer money doing what you really want. Writing for yourself, writing what makes you happy. And right, it sounds like for you, I know for me, there is a big belief for me around money equals security, and security comes from working for someone else, right? Like there's a lot of that in me, and it sounds like maybe there's a lot of that in you. In like real money comes from doing this work for other people, and play money or maybe money or wouldn't it be great money comes from following my own pursuits and passions. And so I just want to say I see you, I feel you, I get you, and all of us can bring in money in whatever way we can allow it in. And so when, as Rachel was talking about, how does it feel in your body? Where is it, right? Like all of it is, at least for me, is like, ooh, there's a little space over here where I could let money in. Oh, look at that. There's a space over here where I could, it's just opening up. That actually feels really good to say out loud. Just opening up to the possibility that money can come from all the places. It can come from work you hate, it can come from work where you love. It's about your expectation.
Yeah. And so I love this topic, you guys. Thank you for asking this. If this is helpful for you, we do have a buy us a beverage link right under this live stream if you'd like to donate to the channel, or even join the channel and get a shout out on all of our videos. All that information is below. So I love the idea of raising your vibration and it'll solve all your problems, right? But sometimes as we're rising up and moving through our limiting beliefs, we get a little triggered, right? This happens to me all the time, all the time. And then Carrie will hear about it and I'll hear about hers and we'll just laugh together and we'll get through it. But if you don't know that's happening, it can be really, really, really frustrating and really, really, really jarring. So the idea is, right, you're living here, normal, you did a great job. Let's go back to where you were, this emailer, right? You found peace and joy and love and creativity, but you really didn't make a lot of money. That's where you were, right? And then you kept doing that, and that's going to raise your vibration a lot. You're already pretty up there if you're doing that, right? And so you've continued to do what you love, and you've raised your vibration more. And as you've done so, you've moved through some limiting beliefs, and namely about money, because that seems to be where the rest of them were, because you pretty much got rid of a lot of the other ones to get to where you were. And so along the way, what I've noticed a lot of people find is this idea of your higher self is going to put you on the path to get more money. It always is. You're always on that path. But the way the limiting beliefs show up can be very insidious. Like, oh, I hate marketing. I could never market myself. Or the things I like to write about aren't, nobody wants to read about. Or I don't like the colors that other people like in my knitting, so it's never going to be in style. Or whatever it happens to be, they're very subtle. They're very, very subtle often. And they might not be screaming at you that this is a limiting belief about money. That just feels like a truth. It feels like something natural that you'd think. It's because it is. You've been thinking it a really long time and you haven't even had words for it. Once you can hear it, it's no longer holding you back, but you've got to keep going in order for that to be true. There's this idea of, right, holding on to baggage, right? We're holding it, right? If you're old enough, any of you, to know the Sedona method, do you remember that? They're like, let go of the goddamn pen. It's not you. Your limiting belief is not you. you might feel identified with it when you hear it in your head because it maybe sounds like your voice, but it's not you. So I help a lot of people do only what they love. And I hear a lot of excuses all the time. I'm not creative. I don't like to market. I don't want to call attention to myself. Nobody wants what I have to offer. I have to do it a different way in order to make money. No one will pay me for this. I'm not good enough at this. I don't have enough experience at this. Whatever you want to keep going. And so now you have a choice, right? You're clear, but if you keep finding that you have these negative expectations and negative beliefs surface as you're on your journey of, living your life, I would say, meditate more, appreciate everything. Where is your money coming from? Do you have 2 pennies you can scrape together? Do you have anything in a savings account? Do you have investments? Do you have any crystals or assets, or not that crystals are assets, but like, do you have, because I'm looking at them, do you have anything you can appreciate? Anything at all? Do you get a $13 royalty check for any kind of book you wrote a million years ago? Like, everything is abundance flowing to you. And the more you appreciate what you have, even if that's not ideal, it will continue to flow more. So you're practicing that. You're practicing allowing when you do that. And then if you feel good, don't calibrate when you don't feel good. If you're feeling really good, if you've meditated, if you've appreciated, if you're high flying, if you're feeling incredible, then calibrate. It's easy for me to make more money. I've done it through so many other ways. Of course, I can make money doing what I love. I always get complimented when I show people what I've made, and they love it. And so, of course, there's going to be a time when someone with a lot of money is going to want to buy what I have, right? My screenplay, it's been sitting on the shelf for 7 years, but it's just been waiting for the right audience to be assembled. And people are calling it forth right now. And the books that I've written, the next one I write or the one that I wrote before, that's going to get a huge audience, and they're going to read all the backstock, and it's all going to be worth it. And I'm so happy they're already there. So what new expectations do you want to install when you're already feeling good and you're already feeling rich and abundant? Install them then. Think about them then. Over and over and over again. You can write them if you're a writer. If you can just say them out loud, you can say them in your head. You can go for a walk and think them. Whatever works for you, but changing your expectations only works when you're feeling good. Because if you're not feeling good, if you're down where you were in a lower vibration that still matches your limiting beliefs, you're still in the pool of limiting beliefs. You can't really calibrate yourself up. It doesn't really work. You really need to make sure you have a nice, strong foundation and a better vibration before you start to calibrate, because you're just bringing up what hasn't really risen on its own, because your vibration is where you last left it. So calibrate after you meditate, after you appreciate, is my recommendation anyway.
Which, like, just from a practical stance, or like maybe from a story stance, right? You just got some shitty news, right? You just got, like, you're feeling in a bad place, and yet you want to feel into a good place. It's a lot easier to feel into a good place from a neutral place than it is from a bad place. So how do you get yourself from bad to neutral? Stop, right? Stop the downward spiral. Stop wherever you are and meditate, go outside, ground, do whatever, right? But like, get yourself to a place of like, okay, before I can even move out of my crap, because I know that was my standard, is like, everything feels shitty. Okay, I'm just gonna think good thoughts, right? Like, but I'm in the wrong pool. And so I really love what you're saying. So three things. One, I have to get up and let my dog back in. Two, I do want to go back to how we can use intuitive art to really give us like the truth about where we are in our expectations with money. And three, I do have a story of something that happened to me today, and how I realized this is more, so I don't know where the appropriateness goes, but it really is like, I recognized something that happened today, that I went through something in the course of like 30 minutes, bless you, Rachel, that I know would have taken me like a month not too long ago. Bless you again, Rachel. And there was and I know that is because my expectation and belief have shifted. Like so it's 10 years of training myself, right? It doesn't have to take 10 years, but it is like recognizing, oh my gosh, what I did in a matter of minutes today, I remember like spending whole months there in the past. And so that's just a little bit of encouragement. Like it doesn't have to take months. It doesn't have to take a whole ton of analysis. Like things can move quickly, which is good. So I will get up and let the dog in. You want to talk about or maybe take us through what do you want to do with intuitive art in this person?
Yeah, well, first of all, I just want to lay down a hard truth because I think this will sort of like wrap up the conversation and then we'll be able to do some intuitive art. And the hard truth is when you're in alignment, you don't see lack. So if you're wondering where the money is or where the manifestation is, you're not in alignment and you're not in the allowing mode to let that drop in. And that helps me because I like to know where I am. Because if I know where I am vibrationally, then I know where I need to go to let what I want happen, right? And so if I'm seeing lack, if I'm thinking lack, if I'm thinking, oh, this hasn't shown up, or I'm not having a great day, or whatever is going on for me, I'm not in a place of receiving what I want anyway. And when I'm in alignment, I'm just thinking about the great things that are happening. I'm in appreciation. I'm in the mode of allowing in more. So that's just a really quick thing. If train yourself, if you can, to recognize. I was doing this a couple of months ago and talked about it in our coaching group where if I saw something I liked, but I wasn't really wanting to like spend the money on it, I would be like, oh, I don't have to wait. I don't have to save. I can go in my vortex and play with it. That's a great way to notice something is not in your reality that you want and have it now anyway. Get back into alignment with it. So you can do that as well. Just know that everything's available to you because you've already created it all. Go into your vortex and play with it. That might be a bit of a advanced thing. If you want to re-listen to our talk about that, just go and join our coaching group at intuitiveart.com/membership. And I'll let you know where it is in there so that you can go and listen to that.
Okay.
So Carrie, what do you think we should draw for Andy? What do you think would be most helpful? Oh, I just said your name. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. This live stream, I can't cut it out now.
We heard nothing. La 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 la. Okay. So I'm wondering, like, their question, I mean, maybe we should ask their like initial question was about what am I missing? Right? That like what am I not? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So
what's the missing piece?
Yeah. So would you like to draw on that?
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, so you're going to do intuitive art. I'm actually going to use our deck. So
excellent.
I think that will be a fun thing to do. So don't mind us while we tune in and do our thing.
Yeah, draw for yourself or feel into yourself for the answer as we're preparing these readings. Or go buy us a beverage. Oh, it's always so fun when these things go around and around and around. Ooh, okay. Do you want to go first?
No, I want you to go first.
Okay. Happy to. All right. So let's see. Here we go. First of all, sorry, I'm just not wanting to block my microphone. This is a powerful presence. Like, this looks very intentional. And from the way that the outer color went around so many times, it's very emphasized, right? So this feels very emphatic right now. The inner color it's like a light blue green. And that's a light alignment. It's really happiness. It's light. It's watching a stream go by on the side of a grassy knoll in the sunshine, having pleasant thoughts. It's very happy, very pleasant, very content, and not seeing lack. And then this outer brown, this very light brown, is like, it's grounded, but it's lighter than that. It's ease and movement. It's freedom, right? It's you were talking about freedom, but it's also up and down, right? And it looks kind of chompy. Like, I don't want to put my hand in there. It kind of looks like a bear trap. You know what I mean? So these two together, this very happy color, this very grounded color, and freedom, it almost feels like freedom to a point, happiness to a point. There's rules around it. You may not be aware of those rules, but it's probably why the abundance didn't show up to give you ultimate freedom, ultimate happiness, ultimate choice. Okay. But then this color here, do you know what this is? That is my wealth and ease color. So the missing piece, I think this is showing you where your mind was at, where your mind is at. That in your mind, in your body is holding a belief that there's a price to pay for freedom. There's a price to pay for happiness and ease and flow. And so, again, you don't need to go head on into that. I wouldn't go head on into that. I would meditate more to white noise, which is basically you're just being your higher self. Allow your higher self to embody into you. Be in the center of your head. Appreciate everything you have in your life. Find appreciation and practice it. And then when you're feeling really, really good, calibrate. I'm safe. This is the worthiness piece where you're going into actual embodiment of worthiness rather than just thinking you're worthy. I'm safe to be free and wealthy and happy. I'm safe. I'm good with money. Money's always flowing to me. Because what you're doing, this is so big. You're training yourself that money comes from within you, not through someone else, not through hard work. It's a big leap to make as a human being. That money with no strings, wealth and ease from doing what you love, that's a big leap. So it takes care and practice and unconditional love and allowing and embodiment of those things over and over and over and over again. And luckily, they feel really good when you're doing them. It's going to feel amazing to meditate like that, to think like that. But that's all it really takes. That's what this is saying, is you have it. You just have to feel safer. Remember, this bear trap, you're afraid of that. So find a way to be unafraid through calibration and meditation and appreciation.
Okay, I knew there was a reason you were supposed to go first. So one, mystery emailer. I hope that landed. I know it did. Intuitive art always lands. And this was my drawing for you. And interestingly, it was all colors. But here's what they mean. So the first one, this is like wealth, abundance, luxury as your divine birthright. This is like your royal color. And so the right, what am I missing is like, remember, you're entitled. You are entitled to the wealth, the luxury, and the ease for existing, right? It's your divine birthright. So that is number one. And then, hey, surrender. Surrender to the truth of that. Then there's gray, which means, for me, it means uncertainty. And so whenever I used to see this color, I was like, uncertainty, cloudiness, fogginess, unsureness. But yeah, yes, and this is about like surrender to the uncertainty, right? The certainty is here. The certainty is that it is your divine birthright. Relax, surrender, meditate, let go of the pen, right? Let go. Yes, there might be some uncertainty. Your brain's going to want to look around to like, where will it come from? Relax and surrender and listen to divine guidance. That's the last color. This is about like aligning to your spiritual truths. So, yeah, so that's what's really been missing is this one, like the total knowing in your bones, total embodiment that you are worthy and deserving of all of it, however it comes. All of the rest of these are like, oh yeah, here's how to get it. Here's how to get there. There you go. Hope that helps.
I love it. There's a card that is in Intimate Aliens' upcoming Oracle deck that I think applies here, especially when we're talking about people who are creatives wanting to live on their own terms, right? In abundance. And the card is live for enjoyment, not progress.
Ooh.
Yeah. And there are times when I want to fight that because I love progress. Progress feels really good. But I notice when I'm writing with no expectation of any kind of outcome, or I'm going to sell this, I'm going to, publish this, I'm going to whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's going to make me a lot of money. I lose the sparkle of the project. And like even when I was in college for screenwriting a couple years ago, I noticed that if I focused on the homework in terms of doing it well or doing it to the expectation of the teacher or whatever, I would kind of rebel against it, even though I was able to pick the subject. And I had to fiercely fight for the boundary of, this is for me. I'm only doing this for me. I'm doing this for my own enjoyment. And then it would be incredible. And so that's something to remember as well. Like, not that we sit down with the intention of it bringing in abundance, but it can morph while we're doing it to, well, I'm spending a lot of time on this. This better pay off, right? In some way. So that's something to think about as well. And I find when I'm in a creative project, intuitive art helps me because I can reconnect with my original intention through intuitive art. What is this story? What is the tone of it? What is my relationship to it, right? Lots of things you can ask. And that's been really helpful for me. And it can be helpful for you in any vocation.
There's like a weird subject change. It's not a subject change, but there's something that's coming up for me that it's like on my paper and circled, and I wrote it down at the beginning of us talking, and it's coming back. But I don't quite yet want to leave.
I have one more thing to say. Do you want me to say it?
Yes.
All right. So we've talked a lot today about embodying worthiness. And so here's how to tell when that's happening. So signs you've raised your worthiness are you've raised your standards, your boundaries are better, and you feel freer in your life. So when you've really internalized worthiness, you're not going to feel bad turning down opportunities that don't feel good. You're not going to people please anymore, or at least mostly. you're going to know better what you do want to do and what you don't want to do. You'll feel the boundary of yes and no and what's right for you. And then you'll feel more free in your life, regardless of whether more money's come in or not. More things will start manifesting for you, more choice, more opportunity. And you'll just see things are working easier, things are working better for me. So that will be a physical indication that your worthiness has been enhanced.
I love that. And especially, so I love all of it, but I just had like a client we had a long conversation around boundaries, and then she asserted some, and then like instantly was messaging me about all of these things that happened in her business that she was like, oh my God, this is unbelievably good. And I was like, it's not so unbelievable for me, right? Because I know you raised your standards, right? Then, and in the raising of, so you're feeling more worthy. So you raise your standards. In the raising of your standards, it exposes the things in your life that aren't up to your standards, which then sort of forces you or makes you more aware of like what your boundaries are, and like getting comfortable, kind of like asserting your boundaries in a loving way. She did it in a loving way. And then after she asserted her boundaries and they were accepted or not accepted, or however it went, in her case, they were like accepted. The freedom, right? Because when you have boundaries, you're not spilling out everywhere. And so total freedom, which opened up space for receiving. So, yeah, thank you. I really like that. I wrote this. Money comes from within. You talked about this, right? Like the total mind shift. Mm-hmm. Like when we can really convince ourselves of that evidence. And I'll tell you, for me, it has taken years of practice, mm-hmm. Because there's a strong belief of like, okay, really, like, or I could do that one time, I could get in alignment and money would come, but like, can I keep it up my whole life? Like, right? So, really, really, really reminding yourself over and over again, getting yourself to a place of looking for evidence that money is coming from within. And that is deeply connected to what I wrote at the very beginning, which is your life is a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like whatever you got showing up, right? That's because you have prophesized it with your beliefs, with your expectations, with whatever internal vibration and program that you're running. All sorts of vocabulary to talk about the same thing. And the self-fulfilling prophecy of money comes from feeling good, of money comes from within. That takes deliberate action at meditating and doing all those things. It also takes deliberate action at recognizing. And I actually think that's where a lot of the work is. I keep using the word work, which I wish I wasn't, but that's all I've got. Is like, for instance, this week I have been, well, not this week, but this week in particular, I've been like happy, groovy, like everything's working out. I don't exactly know what's coming, but something good is happening. I've been in that vibe. Like yesterday morning, I was telling Rachel, like, I love to budget, you guys. Like, talk about boundaries. Like, oh man, you give me the lines. I can play with abundance inside those lines like nobody's business. And I can feel good. And I was doing all of that. And I sat down to like, map out some financial stuff. And like, I like doing that. I like knowing, okay, and about this time I could do this. But I was looking at all of the like places that I expect money to come from, that I have evidence that money comes from those places. And so I was doing that. And then it occurred to me, oh, I could just expect more from different places that I don't have names for yet. I could budget for unforeseen money, basically. Like I could have an extra. And so that really hit me in a new way. It's not a new practice. It's not even new to me, but like it hit me in a really new way. Like my intuition was like, up your expectation, girlfriend, like up your expectation. So I was like, okay, like I'm going to play in the juiciness of that. And so I did. And then because I upped my expectation, I also noticed, oh my gosh, I got $26 from here. I got a $15 Amazon gift card. I went into my Amazon account and realized I had $44 of credit. I did like just little things. And I was like, look at me. Money's coming from everywhere. I shifted my internal, like I was all in it. I'm like, this is amazing. And I'm feeling all like, of course I can expect billions. Like I'm in that vibe, right? And then I had a situation this morning where like the most reliable income source suddenly was like, oh, is that so reliable? Right. And here's where I want to like sort of talk about money comes from within, and your life is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Not too long ago, and maybe where our secret emailer is, I would have looked at that as evidence that none of this is really working. I would have dropped. I would have gone into fear and freak out and am I an idiot for trying to believe my way to wealth? Or I would have tried to dwell in, well, this is how it makes me feel and it isn't fair. And like, I would have gone to all these places. But instead, I like acknowledged it, had other things to do. So, oh crap, we're over on time, aren't we? I'll finish the story. I had other things to do. And so I kind of changed the subject, like inadvertently, like the subject changed itself. There were other things on my list. I was like, I'll have to deal with my feelings about this later. And before I knew it, I was reminded of like, oh, look at that. You're up leveling. Look at that. Your word for the year is certainty. What is the truth? Like, I am certain. Every money set point, everything's working out. Like everything always works out. I've already budgeted for all the money that's coming in. Like got to that place again instantly of it comes from within. And now I really do feel like I'm sitting at a higher place than I was when I was noticing the $44 on Amazon. So I just felt like I needed to tell that story because that was the thing I was alluding to, that a couple years ago, even a year ago, even the beginning of this year, I might have dwelled in the bad feeling for a really, really long time. And doing all the little things, the meditating, the relaxing, the embodying worthiness, made that whole journey a lot faster and easier.
Yeah. Well, Bashar used to say, who's a channeled entity, that you can tell when you've changed your vibration by how you've changed your reaction to the same circumstance. So you got that. And I also want to add just really quickly that we are physical beings, right? And so we eat several times a day, right? Those are the little things we do to stay alive. We drink water, we eat. So how could we expect ourselves to be competent creator beings without attending to our vibration several times a day, right? The meditating, the intuitive art, the going for walks, the relaxing, the movement, that's all necessary for us. If you can, whatever, you do you, but doing something to attend to your vibration as a creator being is necessary for you to have a life that you really want. You need to be an active participant in that, right? You can't just not eat and expect to live. You can't just not attend to your vibration and expect to have everything you want.
All right. Well, I hope this was really helpful. I knew it would be helpful for you and me, Rachel, but I hope it was helpful for not just our secret emailer, but everybody watching.
Yeah, this was fun. I woke up early today, so if I sounded a little bit more like matter of fact, harsh, it's only because of that. I had a really great time. So thank you, everybody. I really, really appreciated this. Thank you, Guillaume, for commenting and being here. We really appreciate you and everyone else who is watching and watches on the replay. If you have a question you want us to talk about on a live stream, you can email rachel@intuitiveart.com. And if you want to join us in our coaching group and get actual face-to-face via the internet coaching on things like this, then join our group, intuitiveart.com/membership. Thank you, everyone. We love you, and we'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.